Hello, good morning. I'm not usually a morning person, but I'm here this morning. I'm sitting here in the shade, enjoying a very pleasant breeze, actually, having just come out of the hot and brutal sun. Hmm, yes. So I did manage to find some shade, though. Hello, guy and his dog over there. People are so friendly here. I am in Ellicott City, in case you hadn't guessed, right? Okay, just got a couple minutes before we start. Like I said, I'm taking advantage of this spot with the breeze. Probably one of the few spots with a breeze, and I'm sure only because I'm high up on a hill, and so I'm getting a breeze. Oh, what do we have? 4 minutes to go. I see a couple of people out there. I wish I could see them. I see that there's two people who joined on for this spooky Monday morning tour of Mount Misery in Ellicott City. Mount Misery is its nickname. Its present nickname, or what we used to call it when I worked here, was Courthouse Hill, or Court Hill, which shorten it. So Ellicott City has seven of these gorgeous hills surrounding it, and it's all nice and nestled, snug as a bug in a rug down in the valley with the river, with the Tapsco River Valley. Hey, Ronnie Lynn, haven't seen you for a while. Good to see you. Glad you're here. Things been good with you? Been okay here. Just hot, 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 hot. Maryland's three H's. Hey, humid. Oh, and today, get this, today we get to add in some smoke from the wildfires that are burning north of us. So we're going to throw a little smoke into the hazy, hot, and atmosphere, right? Oh, I'm glad you're back. Yeah, that really that really stinks when your phone becomes not operational, right? Here last year, last summer, I guess it was, I forget. Last year, my husband and I were in Florida, right? And we're on the pier or the dock, and there's a boat launch or whatever, and we're on the Gulf of Mexico messing around, and I go to walk a little bit down this ramp to get a better picture, right? Well, the ramp was all slippery. I didn't know. I didn't see it. And my foot went out from under me, and then the other one, and boom, down I went. Down I went. And my husband had to jump in and get me because I'm just sliding in further and further, right? I'm trying to stop myself with my feet. My hands are busy trying to hold my camera over my head. Oh, and phone. My phone was in my back pocket. Anyway, I ruined them both. Yep. I, I ruined my camera, my phone, and when my husband jumped in to save me, he had his personal phone and his work phone in his pocket. So they were gone too. So here we're in the Florida Keys, right? And it's like, oh my gosh, I don't have a camera. Where am I going to get a camera? We need phones. And luckily, the only uh, Verizon store, which is where our accounts are, the only one in the Keys was not very far from us. So, and it was a good thing because we had to go back a few times. But anywho, I got a brand new camera and a brand new phone, whether deserved or not. So anyway, here we are. So it's 11 o'clock. So I guess I should get this party started, right? First, I see that we've got a couple people out there live. The good thing about this platform that I've been using is that it'll stay out there. You can look at these tours after the fact on YouTube and Facebook. So Hago never, they didn't do that. You couldn't have a copy of what you did. But anyway, so you can always catch up, which I think is a pretty cool thing. But I like the live interaction best though. But at any rate, so let me get going. My name is Sharon, also known as Bay Lady, and I am here in Ellicott City. I'm on a hill called Mount Misery. It's the tallest of the 7 hills that surround Ellicott City, which was built in the valley next to the Patapsco River. So we're up high today, um, and I am going to start with the courthouse, which is right behind me. I'm going to turn this around in a second as soon as I walk down here. I have all my links and stuff on my page at on Facebook, so that's where to find me. Um, Buy me a coffee. I love espresso. Um, if you know what that means, I appreciate it. If not, that's okay too. Okay, so I'm going to turn this around and now let's see. I need settings. Settings. Okay, camera. Oh, there it went. The only thing I don't like about this platform is this part right here where you have to jump through hoops to get the camera turned around, right? Okay, so see this lovely, lovely garden? This is the front of the courthouse. And it was in this lovely, lovely garden standing back there on the path that I got married. I worked here way back in the day when I was single, and I worked in the Sperry building, this old courthouse built in 1839, I want to say, or 1843, probably more like it when it was finished. But yeah, and so I got married on the front lawn. My boss, the judge, he married my husband and I. It was a pretty cool thing. So there's a little bit of personal trivia from me there. Couldn't resist showing you, right? Okay, so about the courthouse. Yeah, the spring of 1843, it opened, which was like a couple of years after construction had begun. Uh, it let's see. It has a cannon out front here. This cannon was from the War of 1812. It was captured at the Battle of Bladensburg, which is pretty close to the DC line, actually. So, yeah, so they moved it here. And then I wanted to tell you, I know you've heard of the Underground Railroad. Well, this was one very, very important station here, the courthouse. Okay. This was the place where when runaway slaves were captured, they were held here in the courthouse, well, in the jail, until their owners could come and claim them, basically. The other thing was that Maryland was a southern sympathizing state. Maryland was during the war, during the Civil War. Maryland was one of the first places that the Confederacy captured and occupied. Their strategy was, well, hey, we're in Virginia, and the Confederacy's capital was in Virginia, and the Union's capital, Washington, D.C. So whoever had Maryland, had better control of that tri-state situation. So they captured Maryland so that they wouldn't be able to aid the South, but they did their best to try anyway. This was a stop on the Underground Railroad. This is where they helped the runaway slaves who hadn't been caught yet get to freedom. So it's a very notable reference in history. Also, the fact that Ellicott City had the first railroad station ever. The first bits of track built in this country was the 13-mile stretch from Baltimore here to Ellicott City. So it also was instrumental in helping get the runaways north, right? Because Baltimore, next up Baltimore, go further north up through Pennsylvania, what have you. So anyway, they were able to smuggle through. Thanks, Ronnie. All right, this building here was known as, well, not known as, it is Emory. Tiny bit of history. Right now, it's being occupied by, let me get this gimbal right here. Whoa, come back here. It is being occupied by Howard County History Museum. They're not open today, though. Sorry. But I can tell you a little bit about them. Oops. As soon as I find them. I am being very clumsy today, and I really don't know why. But at any rate, I'll tell you, there has been some activity in this building, paranormal activity, as they like to say. Um, this area, Ellicott City, is home to many, many, many tragedies and unbelievable occurrences. But the people are very resilient. And they have a long history as well, going back 250 years when Ellicott City was first incorporated. Um, anyway, during the construction of this building, part of it collapsed. And there had been crews working on it. And so then in modern times, you have the museum folks here, and they hear like noises, things that go bump in the night, right? None of them like to venture downstairs to the basement, and evidently that's where the bathrooms are, the restrooms are as well. So the theory, oh wow, look at that steeple and chimney, huh? The theory is that when the building collapsed, somebody was caught in the walls and not recovered. And so they feel that the spirit of this would be construction worker would be forever trapped, perhaps in the wall, perhaps. Hard telling. Who knows? This building here is the Ellicott Mills Children's Museum. Now, this Ellicott City was called Ellicott Mills in its beginning years before it changed to city. In a little bit, when we get down on a lower street level, I'll talk to you about this house from the front. But I just kind of want you to just, take a gander at it. You can see the front of the building down the side there, the granite. Everything's made of granite, right? So just keep in mind, and then I'll describe better when we get down there. Again, the granite, Emory Church, the courthouse, beautiful granite, almost like marble, so clean, right? And then look, I've got granite curbs, right? I mean, these hills are full of granite. Okay, these homes are built onto it, into it, what have you. And see, that's looking down on the next street, and way to the left, the next street going down the hill. The streets wrapped around. Pretty interesting. Okay, this is one of my favorite stops. Okay. Oop, looks like somebody's mailbox. Okay. Um, I'm just go in the shade here. Yay me. All right. So what we are looking at is Oak Lawn Seminary. Okay. This was a home initially. It's called the Hayden House. It was built for Edwin Hayden and his wife Elizabeth, and they lived here with 7 children and a servant. Unfortunately, um, Mr. Hayden passed, and in order for his wife to keep the home for her and the children, she turned it into a finishing school, a boarding school called Oak Lawn. That was like in 1871. Then after that, it changed hands a lot. And in 1937, the court purchased the building. And you can see weirdly how it's kind of built into the courthouse, because you've got that wing and you've got this wing, and then you've got this building, which is, really strange, but it just, butts up to the back. I'd like to see what the back of it looks like, but I don't know how you would go about doing that. And the same on this side. It's just part of the wall, part of the granite. Very interesting. Anywho, back to this house, Oak Lawn. Okay. By 1970, the building was occupied by district court clerks and by Department of Parole and Probation, I believe it was. And they started experiencing strange things while they were working in this building. Phantom footfalls, ghostly laughter, a chair rolling across the floor, doorknobs that turn without hands, flickering lights, and not just at night. One staffer, arriving before the others one morning, saw a shadowy figure of a man floating down the stairs as she approached, but no one was there when she entered. A district court commissioner working the graveyard shift watched 3 napkins set out for dinner the next day unfold and refold back together again. Okay. Um, so these type of things, of course, lead people to ask questions and wonder what it could be. Okay. On the second floor, the same commissioner saw a white haze form into a misty ball of vapor floating up the stairs like an orb, and it went poof, gone. So a security guard making rounds one evening, saw a woman in one of the ground floor windows. Watching her gestures, he believed she was cooking. But there hadn't been a kitchen in the house since 1937 when it was converted to offices. So the general theory is that the cooking ghost of Oak Lawn must be Jane Henson, the Hayden family's loyal servant, still fixing breakfast for the family. It's also been said that you can smell um, things like people have reported smelling like homemade soup, coffee, bacon and eggs, apple cobbler coming out from the building and into the street morning to night. I can attest, last time I was here, I smelled those bacon and eggs. Maybe it was a power of suggestion. Maybe it was hungry. Why bacon and eggs? I don't know. It wasn't morning. Maybe on her time, but not mine. Anywho. Okay, so that is Oak Lawn. Very cool place. Next thing coming up is the old jail. I don't like this place. One lick. It's nasty. And so are the stories that come out of it. Oh my goodness. You're looking at it at the curve of the street here. It's got that little gold dome there on top. Here's a look down where we just came from the street. The courthouse on the right, church on the left. And here's some looks down into the valley to the next levels. You see everything is terraced, right? It's all these hills are paved, have roads, and they just kind of wind around. It's kind of like being out in the mountains or something, I suppose. Okay, now, here's another nice view. We'll be down there too at some point. Again, all the terracing, the layering. It's such a cool city. I think people that design buildings, architects, I would think they would be fascinated by something like this. Okay, so the jail. All kinds of stories about the jail. The entrance is the right side of the building, down where the parking spaces are. That's the main door going in. Um, Stories, all kinds of weird, unpleasant feelings and sounds and such have been experienced by the inmates that have been held here. Nobody is here now, thank goodness. In fact, the courthouse is empty as well. All the court personnel moved to another location. So what's going to happen to the courthouse? No clue. It's a historic building, so they can't knock it down. So that's a good thing. They had hangings here as well. In fact, up into the early 1900s, they were still hanging prisoners out back. Okay. They say that the prisoners who were scheduled for execution, they were kept in dark cells. Supposedly, I guess the darkness to keep them calm or to torture them or taunt them. I don't know, but they were held in completely dark cells. There were separate quarters back here for the runaway slaves that were captured. Walk around to it, down where those that green lawn and the bricks there by the walls. That's where they had the gallows. That's where they would hang the people. Walk around the back. That's where they kept the slaves. Actually, this is the back. We're going to the other side. Hold this up so you can see. Mhm. Yeah, I'm taking slow walking today, folks. It's hot. The humidity's picking up. I see an owl on the electrical wire. Okay, I think we can see good from over here. Yeah. Okay, back side of the jail. All right. Now the front entrance, remember, is to the left. To the right is the area where they would hang the prisoners. And straight ahead in the white part of that building is where they kept the runaway slaves. Okay, they had the men and women separated, one on one floor, the other on the other floor. So they were held there until their owners came to claim them, basically, is how that worked. There's a story about a tobacco shop down on Main Street. And the, let's see, the, the owner of the shop had hired um, oh, what do you call it? Hired a helper who was a free slave. Okay. Anyway, his name was Jacob Henson, the slave. And anyway, Daniel Shea owned a tobacco shop, and he and his employee, Mr. Henson, were hanging after work one day, just chilling, drinking a couple of beers, it's thought. And somehow, a fight broke out between the two men. Supposedly, Shea hit Henson in the chest square like 3 times. Henson then reached for the nearest object to defend himself with, which was a hatchet. So Henson hit Shea in the head with the hatchet until he collapsed on the floor, and then Henson ran. Well, Shea's body had 20 gashes in his head, 20 gashes in his skull, little more than what would be needed for self-defense. Uh, so Henson was arrested. He was tried, and he was sentenced to hang. Just after midnight, May 28th, 1885, somebody else had some different ideas. Armed masked citizens from Howard County broke into the jail and dragged Jacob Henson out of it. They took him to the nearest tree, which was a dogwood tree, just up the hill from the jail, and they hung him. On moonless nights, they say that you can see the image of a man hanging by the neck from a dogwood tree just behind the jailhouse. So, which tree that would be today, I don't know, because there's quite a few of them behind the courthouse. Could be where we're standing, even. But that's the story of that. Okay, we've got just a tiny walk to our next stop, which is a pretty cool place, actually. I've been in the courthouse because I worked there, and I've been in this house I'm going to show you also. Here, I just wanted you to see that's the up front of the jail from the other side. Okay, now, come on, breeze, keep blowing. Okay, this is this is where I could possibly get winded. It's going to be uphill for the next couple stops. So I'm just walking nice and slow. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna come around to the front gate here so that your first glimpse is nice. This house here, I remember when I worked at the courthouse, there were law offices there. I remember delivering court papers to them way back in the day. There's a lady going to take a picture. Okay. This is Mount Ida. Mount Ida. She's fully restored. At the moment, they're working on details, converting it to a B&B, which would be quite interesting. And there it is, Mount Ida. Note the catwalk on top, right? Pretty, pretty. Okay, so let me read you about, or tell you about the Mount Ida. Okay, we're on Sarah's Lane, which started right there. Okay, I'm gonna stand in the shade. Okay. All right, there you go. Okay, so Mount Ida, built in 1828, built for one of the founding fathers, the Ellicott brothers, one of their grandsons. Um, it was like the last of the homes built by or for the Ellicott family. Anyway, let's see. The grandson died at home in 1836, sold the property to a lawyer by the name of Tyson and his wife, Rachel. So Tyson lived there, according to a 1960 census. Tyson was living here along with his wife, her mother, three daughters, a son, and their seamstress. Judge died shortly after that, as did his wife and his son, who killed in a horrible accident. The remaining children, the three daughters, lived out the rest of their years in the mansion, none of them ever marrying. After Cornelia and Anna passed away, Ida was the last living Tyson, and they said that in her later years, she became a bit senile. Prior to that, she used to invite the neighborhood kids in, and she would take them up to the catwalk, or the widow's walk, rather, is what they call it, and treat them to the view of the town and the river below. But as she started getting senile, she became terrified that someone would break in. So there were locks on all the doors, and she carried a key ring with keys. And every time she entered a room, she would have to unlock the door to get into the room, and then she would lock it behind her. And then she would enter another room, unlock the door, lock it behind her, etc. Well, years ago, not that many, this building was used as offices for the courthouse. And also, oh, there's deer, 3 deer running across the street. Wow, 2 big uns and a baby. How cool is that? Anyway, huh, cool. And I totally forgot what I was saying. Anyway, so oh yeah, so uh then the Friends of the Patuxent, no, the Friends of the Pataxco Female Institute School had their offices here for a while as well. But what the people experienced that worked here was the sound of jingling keys, of course, right? What else, right? But yeah, and sometimes they would hear the keys and see this kind of wisp spirit of a spirit kind of disappear through a door. So very interesting when this becomes a B&B, right? Can you imagine? Okay. Now we're on the tallest hill of the 7 that surround the town of Ellicott City. Um, this hill is the tallest, and we're heading up to the tallest peak on the hill. We're not at the top yet. We're getting there. At the top, at the very top of this hill, is the famous Patuxent Female Institute. Um, it it was built. Oh well, it opened in 1839, so it was built before that, 18th, and then it closed um, just after, or just when the Civil War started. Initially, the school was a cut above others. The curriculum being taught included things that young ladies didn't learn up to that point. Um, Music, language, um, even engineering of sorts. Here we are coming up to the front of the school. Ta-da! There it is. And lucky for me, this has some shade. So I can show you the school and talk about it more. Yes, indeed. Okay. Look, why am I whispering? I'm not in church. Oh, there's those deer. Oh my goodness. They're looking at me. They stopped. The little baby's got spots that close. This isn't the first time I've seen deer here. Not at all. Oh, cool. They're walking away, trotting away. Brisk trot. Okay, so the school. They didn't cut the grass. What's wrong with that? All that's left of it are the columns. See if I can get a better look over here. All that's left are the columns and the walls. There's no roof. There aren't any floors. Um, there's like there's like wood wood decking around the inside, around the perimeter of it. So like you could walk along by the walls and look down and imagine what coulda, shoulda, woulda. You know. Oh yeah, that was a good one, isn't it? Wasn't it? The the letters. I have to do that one again. And there's one letter that could be, well, actually I have one girl's diary that could maybe be a whole tour in itself. All right, let me sit. Anyway, so the school. Okay. It had some prestigious students. It had Thomas Jefferson's granddaughter, and there are a lot of wealthy plantation owners that sent their girls to the school here because they would learn, like I said, mathematics and even religion, a lot of subjects that a regular school wouldn't even begin to present. Jefferson Davis, his daughter Winnie Davis, also um, attended here, as did Thomas Jefferson's granddaughter Sally Randolph, and she actually became the a head mistress, and she was the last one to serve before the school was closed. So interesting. It's been a lot of different things since then. Okay, it permanently closed its doors in 1891. Never recovered really from the Civil War years and the hardship it caused. Um, during, let's see, it was a hotel for a while, really nice hotel supposedly. And then in let's see, 1917, I think it was World War One. It was a 50-bed hospital for World War One veterans that were wounded coming home from war. They were sent here, and eventually, though, it kind of went to ruin and then it caught fire, which is when it lost the roof and the floors. And that's when the uh, Friends of Patapsco Institute took over the management when they moved into Mount Ida. And so they've done what is called what it is now is stabilized ruins. So they made it so that it can be used, it can be rented for weddings, parties, whatever. Shakespeare Summer Theater has plays here. They have for quite a while, and they're pretty good too. Okay, well, this is supposed to be a ghost tour, and of course, there's going to be one for this, right? So I'm going to start telling you about poor Annie as we start moseying on down the hill towards our next stop. Shoo, you know, look, there's no breeze now. Look at this. Everything is totally still. The only sound I hear is the river. It's way, way down. We'll start heading that way, I suppose. Hey, Ronnie, I'm glad you're keeping with me, girl. Yes, indeed. Oh, I miss Hago because you could like really talk to a lot of people all at once. It was pretty cool. Though that the new company, that new platform, what is it called? Rickshaw. They have a very cool thing I want to try. They do one-on-one tours, individual. They call them VIP private tours, and they do like one-on-one where like you can actually, well, of course you can see me and what have you, but I can see you too, and we can talk, don't have to type. So I thought that was pretty cool. um, that would be, I thought of a good tour for that too. Like, actually, it could be here in Ellicott City. Look, I could be your personal shopper, right? I can go in whatever stores you tell me to go into and look at whatever things you want me to look at, and get the information while we're there, and you can order online from home. How's that? Like maybe there's a particular, like maybe like in Annapolis there's a particular touristy store or whatever. I could go in there for you. I was just looking down. That's way, way down in the woods, the hill, way down. Can't you, usually you could see the river, but it's summertime and it's very green, so no river to be seen. Hmm, what is that? There's there's a path down there and a wooden archway. What is that? Is it part of this property right here, maybe? Okay, so here's a ghost story. Okay. On moonless nights, for some reason at night there can't be a moon or you don't see anything. On moonless nights, you have to be careful coming around this corner because there's a horse and buggy that comes tearing down the corner, tearing around that corner, only to disappear before they hurt you. So, yeah, nobody knows where it comes from. It's just one of those things that you can marvel about. Beautiful Ellicott City, right? Here's the back of this particular house. Nice house, right? I want to show, um, let me see, where are we here? Now look how, oh my goodness. That looks like it once upon a time was a nice yard. There's that owl, or a owl. There must be a lot of owls. There's a swimming pool, but it's green. Ooh, slimy, gooey green. Huh, and this is a garage. So what does all that belong to then? Here's more stairs that go down. Does it belong to this house? Maybe. It's fenced off. Hmm. Yes, as I was saying about the architecture around here, oh my goodness, I don't know why I find this fascinating, but you got me. I do. It looks like they're doing some work on this little house here. Okay, so that pool and those grounds must belong to this house because there's the fence. Hmm. Okay, next spooky stop, next spooky ghost stop. I don't know how well we're going to be able to see it. It's got its garage all the way up here, and the house is behind it. You can barely see it. It it looks like a castle. I don't know if you can see it between the trees there, but it's called Angelo's Castle, also known as Angelo's Cottage. And that house is perched right on the hill, right on the side of this hill, the tallest hill, looking out over the Patapsco River. Years and years, decades, centuries ago, it had stairs that led down to the railroad track. There's another view of it. You can see it on top of the car. Yeah, stairs that led down to the railroad tracks, which ran along the river. Pretty steep, um, pretty steep place too. Let's see, can you see more of it over here? Okay, here we go. There we go. We can see a little bit more of it off in the trees there. So this place was built by a man who loved Michelangelo. The outside looks like a castle. Inside, it looks like a cross. Okay, the floor plan is that of a cross, a crucifix. Okay, um, and you can see the arch windows. I don't know if you can see that one, but it kind of has a churchy kind of thing. Anyway, this is built. It's a copy of a replica in France of this house. Anyway, eventually, let's see, the owner and builder, his name was Samuel Vaughan. And so he was a very creative person. Eventually, he moved away, claiming that Ellicott City was too urbanized. And there's the story goes out that once, well, for most of the years after that, Angelo's cottage was a boarding house. And the story goes that once it became a boarding house, if an artist was among the boarders, everything was fine. The ghosts stayed calm, didn't care. But if a non artist dared to live on the premises, the ghost would cast his victim down the steps to the dungeon basement, where he would then open that back door to the stairs that go down to the railroad track and give him a good boot, sending him flying into Netherland. Boom. And so, not a nice guy, not a nice ghost, right? Not by a long shot. Okay. Now we're coming up to what's called the Old Manse. It was a parsonage house once upon a time. There are a lot of churches in Ellicott City, by the way. Churches and schools. Oh my goodness. Churches everywhere. In fact, we're on Church Road. There's also Courthouse Road. That's the one further up. So there's churches everywhere. As you know, look in some of the overlooks at some of the hills, you see steeples, scattered throughout them. So, and then schools. It's had many schools. You've seen two already. Here's a pretty overlook, and of course, steeple. There's a church over there. We're almost down on Main Street, actually. It's only one level down now. Isn't that pretty patriotic? These old houses that have been restored are absolutely breathtaking, some of them, for real. Look at the copper roofs on that. What is that? In addition, it's got a major copper roof. That's cool. That's very cool. Okay, here comes our next step. That nice little garden. These houses actually, some of them actually have yard, somewhat. Okay, this house is called the Old Manse. Okay, it was a Presbyterian parsonage, built 1850. You can see the granite. You can see that it goes up several. Yeah, goes up several hills there. It's got no doubt an entrance on the top. Looks like it's got quite a few additions on it too. Like I see 3 plus a deck. Huh, amazing, these houses, for sure. Okay, so this one, this building. Kids used to play jumping out the windows on various levels. They'd put a slide out the window and just crazy stuff because of the way it's petitioned on the property. Crazy. So if they jumped out the rear window, they would end up on the road up the hill. Just that whole concept just really gets me. I hear a dog barking at me, right? So, as far as ghost stories, people have seen somebody dressed like a parson, um, speaking, or not speaking, but gliding through the rooms at night. They thought that it could be the spirit of Reverend Henry Branch, who had lived there the longest of all the parsons, but the um, the person that they are describing uh, didn't look like any of the parsons who lived there. So it's been suggested that maybe the apparition isn't a dead parson, rather an escapee from the jail hiding in plain sight. Hard telling. Who knows? And here comes the United Methodist Church. This had a story. This is a cool story. Um, Very cool. First, I want you to notice the two doors. The two doors. Back in the day, men and women didn't sit together in church. They sat separate. One side for the men, one side for the women. They couldn't even enter the other side. They had their own private doors, one for the men, one for the women. And they're still here. One for the men, one for the women, right? Interesting back in the day. A good story here. Oh, aren't those pretty? Artificial. Yeah, definitely. Um, there's a good story here. There were some reenactors um, doing, events throughout the town, throughout Ellicott City. And the church was putting some of the reenactors up because there aren't that many hotels left. So that some of the reenactors were staying here. So for one guy, he was still in his uniform and he came out to smoke a cigarette. And he saw another young man in a Union uniform, and he was standing in the graveyard. He was also smoking a cigarette. He told him his name. The guy did, the reenactor, and said he told the reenactor's name and said he was a resident of Ellicott Mills, and then vanished. Well, when he asked people about him, no one could identify him. But as luck would have it, someone in the congregation remembered hearing about a young Union officer by the same name who had been killed in action. His dying wish was to be buried here in the church cemetery. But for whatever reasons, the Reverend at that time couldn't authorize the burial of the soldier in the graveyard. So, on a moonless night, again, no moon, on a moonless night, the young soldier was laid to rest in the churchyard in an unmarked grave known only by the grave diggers. Could it be this Civil War hero is searching for his final resting place in the cemetery? Never know. Okay. Well, now we're going to take a hike up the next level, which will take us to the front of the jail. Okay. Can walk up the sidewalk here. Just have a couple more little stops. I love these tours. I love Ellicott City. I really enjoyed working here when I did. I know the neighborhoods are gorgeous, and they're so old, right? Look at this yard. Look at these people's yard. And see, they gotta work with hills too, right? So it's like they have to terrace their yards in order to get use out of them. Pretty nuts, if you ask me. There is the front of the jail, and we are not going there. Here we go. Okay. So here's that yard we just looked at from the side. They have their party lights up. I love party lights. I really do. Huh. Okay. Okay. So there we were down there on Church Street. And now we should be on Court Avenue. Oops, what happened there? Gimbal schmimble. There we go. Okay. Okay. Now those are steps that go up. That's the courthouse up there. Actually, those steps run right into the Hayden House. And remember when we were up on top and I showed you a building? It was the Children's Museum. Look at that. Look at these stairs. They're so, I'll tell you what, I wouldn't want to be drinking and navigating these stairs. When I worked here, when I worked at the courthouse, I knew all the shortcuts. You only had so much time to get to the sandwich shop down on Main Street and back to your desk before time was up. Okay. And here we have our final stop. Okay. This is another building that has this wrought iron. They think that it was just, the fashion in New Orleans at the time was a lot of this iron and such. Okay, so this is the Weir House, Weir, and it also was called Ellicott's second school. It was a Quaker school. Okay, made from fieldstone on granite with fieldstone with granite. This is one of the oldest homes still standing in Ellicott City. It was at one time a hospital for wounded soldiers during the War of 1812. And then it was sold in 1920. It was not 1920, 1820. It was a boys' school and then used as a residence by the Lansdales, who then sold it to the Millers. 10 years later, the Millers the Miller widow sold the old Quaker schoolhouse, and a series of tenants moved in. John Lear was one who purchased it in 1896, and then he sold the building to the county in 1951. And since then, like it's the other building up the next hill, it's been used for court agencies and offices and things of that nature. But it's not surprising to know that the court personnel have reported strange things, noises when there's nobody around to make any. Voices whispering, furniture moving, doors opening and closing as if on a draft, but there isn't one. Let's see. And cold spots. So there's a company called Pasadena Paranormal. They held a little experiment in the second floor bedroom in the old house, which is right up there. Okay. Um, they identified James Miller, the deceased husband of Ann Miller, who sold it, as the ghostly culprit. Apparently, James Miller had suffered a heart attack and had died in his bed after living in the home for 10 years. And apparently, Miller was reluctant to leave his happy life. So apparently, he did the next best thing. He stayed. So there you have it, right? Cool. Okay, well, I have to walk my way to the parking lot where I parked my car, and I happen to see a shortcut to get there. All those little stairs right there will do me well. Yes, indeed, they will. Cool. Okay, and here's another look at. You're looking at Old Columbia Pike, where it joins Main Street up one level. Up well, no, up two streets. There's another one down there. Anywho, let me let me turn this around so I can say goodbye properly. Mm-mm. And I hope you all enjoyed the show. There I am. Not too worse for wear, right? I'm a little sweaty, but that's okay. My eyebrows seem to be catching that just fine. So, okay, do I have more tours coming up? Yes, I do. But they're at home tours. I don't have anything really planned for out and about because it's too freaking hot. I'm waiting for the temperatures to cool. Oh, but I'm also working on some indoor tours, museums. I have a couple of museums that I belong to, so I'm trying to get them to let me get in there and do tours of that. So that would be cool. So just watch my Facebook page, guys. That's where I'll put it. And hope you guys have a good week. It's Monday. Another work week begins. Y'all enjoy. Thanks, Ronnie Lynn. I'm glad you liked it. And those of you who are looking at it later, I hope you like it too. All right. Take care. Bye.